So we're here with Dave Valencia. Dave's a candidate for Cheyenne City Council in Ward 1. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, thank you.
I'm Brian Martin. I'm the managing editor here at the Wyoming Tribune Eagle.
I'm Sharon Fain. I'm with Black Hills Energy.
Oh,
Bob Feck, Cheyenne Animal Shelter.
okay.
Again, welcome, Dave. We're glad to have you here.
Excellent.
Let's start off by having you tell us what specific issues or concerns caused you to run for City Council this year.
The fact that I've always been in the profession of sales, in the profession as a salesperson, mostly in the communications field, but people and friends, relatives, whatever, always said, "How come you're not a politician?" Because you have the gift of getting what you needed across to people and actually listening to what people's needs are and taking that into the next step and resolving an issue or a problem, or not even if it is an issue or problem, but just to resolve what they're looking for and make it a win-win situation.
Dave, what qualifications do you bring to the table besides what you just mentioned that will help you serve as a council member?
I try to stay active in watching what's going on politically around the world and around the city. I kind of understand some of the concepts of what is needed to take to make something better. Whether it's budget or community involvement or volunteering. So it's a matter of getting a unified vision there and putting it to work.
Can you tell us what you do currently?
Currently, I work for Spectrum Business. It's part of Charter, business account executive, selling to small and medium businesses, voice and data solutions.
Are you a Wyoming native or?
I am a Wyoming native. I was graduated from, went to Hebert Elementary, Johnson Junior High, the old one, and the new Central when it was first built, graduating class of 79. Attended LCCC for a couple semesters and then went on with a career with the telephone company. Back then it was Mountain Bell. And my first paycheck actually said Mountain States Telephone and Telegraph Company. Yeah, so I did 34 years with them, and then now I'm with Spectrum.
Dave, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing the city right now? And once you identify that main challenge, give us one or two others.
All right. Maybe the biggest challenge, I think, a lot of times is getting the community to agree on maybe a lot of the issues. I think it's because you have a lot of different age factors, a lot of seniors, the young people or younger people, I should say, want to see the city grow and, have community centers and more events and stuff. And I think the seniors are the older people that want a quiet city just to relax and enjoy their retirement. And so I think if you can get those two groups and amongst everybody else involved, then that would overcome one of the big objections of seeing the full potential of the city.
How would you make that happen?
Okay, because I've been in sales, I guess it's always a matter of showing a win-win situation on both. You either win fast or lose fast in some cases, but if you're at least holding their attention and getting a give here and give here, take here, because not everybody's just going to say do whatever you want. So there's always a balance that you're going to have to present, and so it's just a matter of juggling everything and keeping it from falling. Really, I mean, you got to keep it off the ground, because once it's on, the issue is on the ground, then you're starting all over from scratch. So if you can keep everybody involved and their interest high and listen to what they want to do, and then voice their opinions and make it happen, turn it into policy of some kind, or whatever it's going to take to come to reality.
What other challenges does the city face right now?
I think wow, there's luxury problems, and then there's real problems. So a lot of people would say, this is pretty basic, but a pothole. Everybody hates a pothole. So it's always been a topic for all our lives since we've lived here. So is that really a luxury problem or a real problem? Technically, yeah, it's an eyesore to the city, to our community itself. But, it's something that can be taken care of, but then you have a real problem, like why isn't Cheyenne more of a destination city instead of a drive-through city? I'd like to see that be an issue instead of the pothole issue. Why can't we make the city, what can we do different to make the city where people want to come visit and stay? We've got new hotels going up everywhere, and why aren't we filling them all year round for different reasons? So I would say, bringing in more people, more revenue into the city. I know people like Frontier Days, I'm leaving town because they don't want to see the people. But at the same time, any balance, any household or city or any kind of government, you have to have funding, you have to have revenues. So whether you like it or not, you've got to generate those revenues, and there's got to be ways of doing it. So I think one of the biggest problems in this case is generating more revenues and utilizing Cheyenne as a destination instead of just a drive-through. I hope that answered that question.
Dave, please describe your vision for Cheyenne.
Well, it's always been a clean, neat city, really. I mean, there's some areas of town that could use some upgrading or updating. I actually lived in Arizona for a part of my career, and I lived in Chandler, Arizona. And I remember when the intersections down there were just two-lane streets. Corner of example, there's a street called Chandler Boulevard in Kyrene. And now you go down there and it's 6 lanes each way, or 3 lanes on each side, and major intersection and businesses and growing and stuff like that. And the streets themselves are lit nice and decorated nice and everything. And that's going to take money to do something like that. Either you got to generate it by growing with bringing in businesses. And so I see, the future of Cheyenne. If you want to really be a player, to Fort Collins and to Denver and stuff, there's got to be some improvement, and there's got to be some give more than take of allowing Cheyenne to grow. And so I that would be my, my focus to see, let's keep city, let's be conservative and keep it where it needs to be for the people that want it that way. But at the same time, where we can grow it, let's grow it there as well. Try to kind of have a balance again.
Are you envisioning that in terms of sections of the city or different types of?
Yeah, I think if you revitalize a lot of different parts of town, that's going to make the town a little bit more attractive. It's going to I would think it's going to raise property values. People are going to want to live in more different parts of town than going out east or just going out now. Or I've noticed in the past, since I've been here and then back, how South Greeley Highway, even new housing developments down there and stuff. And I think there's plenty of land to do a lot of stuff with, and whether it's in the budgets or somebody investments to maybe buy that area and rebuild those areas, that's something we have to look at. So I envision just more growth and neater, cleaner growth, and just making the city a well-round community everywhere.
Dave, what do you think the community needs that it doesn't have, and how would you as a council member help make that happen?
Okay. Anywhere I go or anywhere I've been, people always say people from Wyoming are the nicest people. Everybody likes them. They get around. They're friendly. They're giving and whatever. So I think putting that to work and generating like I went blank there all of a sudden. Give me the question again.
Sure. What do you think the community needs that it doesn't have?
So I know people have talked about like a recreation center, and I was thinking of the new one they just built, Fort Collins. I don't know if you guys have been there or not, but and I know people have wanted that just because I belong to, there's a couple gyms in town, but I don't know if you guys ever go to them or not, but they're overpacked, and the YMCA is dated, unfortunately, and ideally, Cheyenne comes winter, and there's not a lot of places to go in Cheyenne in the winter for, exercising or being involved, or whether it's any kind of recreation, I guess. So it does make sense, I think, if that could come to fruition and we can actually get the recreation center for the people of Cheyenne. I think it'd be everlasting and it'd be a win-win because it's always going to be given. And not to take business away from the gyms because you still have that a one-on-one, time and 24. But at the same time, it would create some jobs and also give the community a big, the local citizens something that's theirs, that they contributed to and that they can utilize 20, pretty much 24/7, 365. And, like we have the Civic Center and we have Frontier Park and we have the amphitheater in the park now and, the pool. I think a lot of times they don't get utilized like they should or could just because there's nobody to promote something maybe. So you can maybe get somebody involved. I don't know if the Parks and Recreation Department can get more involved in promoting events and stuff that's going to generate some revenues to help offset the cost of something like that.
How would you fund building a rec center?
Well, bottom line is, like I said, the people of Cheyenne, they're willing and giving. So you start there to see who's willing and is willing and to give. I mean, if you don't ask, you don't get. And some people, you see donations all the time to University of Wyoming all the time, and some of those people want if they donate locally, to help the city of Cheyenne and then expand from there. So you basically want to let those people know, or whoever's in those positions, let's start with here in town. And then since I did live in Arizona, you got sales tax of 8.9%. You have luxury tax, you have taxes on rental properties. There's so many different taxes that I don't see Cheyenne even taking advantage of. Not that I want to tax people, but the bottom line is if you want something, someone's got to pay for it somehow. And to pay 6% sales tax in Cheyenne is like, wow, awesome, it's great. But at the same time, I feel I'm not paying my fair share either. Because if everywhere else in the country is paying more money, does it really hurt Cheyenne? And I understand, we have energy crisis right now and loss of jobs and stuff like that. So, but at the same time, if you can have a balance of what are you going to tax, and if you're going to tax, on more luxury items and groceries and necessities and stuff like that, where can you really generate some different monies and put it to work that way?
Dave, what are your priorities for economic development, and how would you make that happen as a member of the council?
All right. Well, corporate America is corporate America. We have a few companies, Black Hills, Union Pacific, Walmart, Lowe's now and stuff. So, and we've got, Microsoft that's going out north. So with those big names or whatever, and the money that they have or can, make an impact of our economy here, that's going to attract other businesses similar to them because, hey, they're there. Why aren't we there? What are we doing different? Wyoming doesn't have state tax for our employees. That's something that employees, I know we're building more houses up everywhere in town, and so do we want to lower the value of our housing prices by making it overbuilt, like which they did in Arizona and different towns. But at the same time, I think if you balance everything, and there's got to be a give and take again. And so to bring that economic development here, you're going to have to reach out to corporate America and say, here's who we have now. Why aren't you joining them? Why, here's what we could do to offer. Here's what we have to offer as a city, as a community.
Would you do that as a council member, or are there other ways?
I believe the council member does have to take a role into being more involved in going out and taking the time to reach out to major corporations or even small businesses. Or I know even a council member needs to reach out just to the members of their ward and other wards, because I understand that they'll get a position like this and you'll never hear from them again. And you still want to be in contact with them. Well, I voted for so-and-so, but I never hear from them, which isn't fair. My goal in that situation would be, always be, available for them in sales, you're pretty much available 24/7. So if you're going to be in some kind of role like this, you got to be available 24/7. I don't know, it doesn't mean you have to answer your phone at midnight or whatever, but if you can get back to the people in a timely manner or give them an avenue to use, whether they call you on your cell phone or your email or another personal email besides your city council email, then I think that's how you have to do that, is get involved as a council member and just relate to people, because it's weird, or it's not weird, but it always happens that somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and by reaching out to them, then it gets things done a lot of times.
Dave, what do you envision for the future of downtown? And if there was some extra money available and you're on the council, where would you put that money? Would it be to the downtown core? Would it be the west edge? What are your thoughts about downtown?
Downtown is awesome. When I was a kid here in Cheyenne, I shined shoes as a shoe shine boy downtown during Frontier days. Even wasn't Frontier days. So it was always cool. They had these little Captain's Cafe, and I'd dating myself, King's Food House, and all these little, Paul's Drug or the drugstore. It was really old town. So, to bring that back, soda shops or whatever. So actually, someone's got to pay the price to maintain those, and we got to have the business to support them, the community to support them. I know a lot of times they're looking at getting the Children's Museum and stuff to that effect, but I know there's the developer of the Heinz buildings looking to do stuff as well. And I know they took like the Frontier building, and they made some apartments in there, and they revitalized that building, and it gets used. They get the businesses downstairs and the restaurant bar there, and then upstairs you can rent. I think if you take that concept and use it on the other buildings, because there's some nice buildings downtown. I mean, you see, when you go up Warren, you see the building above that Jimmy John's up there, the windows are broken out and stuff like that. But the structure's there. So if we can figure out a way, or either it's investments or, if there's already a housing issue here, downtown Denver, and, they revitalized the lower district downtown, Phoenix, the same thing. Whether they put townhouses downtown, people want to live there, enjoy there, and have things to do down there as well, whether they're yoga studios or another fitness, private businesses to keep them, grocery store, there's no Safeway's gone down there, and so most people have to drive out to Del Range, and they hate Del Range. Why isn't there something else down here that we can attract? Even though the Cole Shopping Center store, but I think it was just wore down. But if you were to revitalize that area even, and get it where people downtown, they can take their bike down to the next shopping area and buy their groceries, and they can live pretty much without transportation. We have city transportation. They don't necessarily need a car unless they're going somewhere. They can rent a car or whatever. But you have to do something with those buildings, and whether it's developers or whether the city has money to I don't know if there's federal money to bring historical buildings back to life, whether there's a housing money that can bring those buildings back to life for housing. And I think you're going to have to use the upper parts of those buildings for a living space, and then that's going to bring the downtown alive as well, as the way I see it.
Are you aware of the downtown core plan and West Edge plan? Are those things
I am not 100% aware of all that. I mean, running for council, there's a lot of research and homework that you have to get caught up on, and it's not an easy task. So,
you mentioned the Children's Museum. David, how do you feel about the use of taxpayer money to fund amenities like that museum?
It's a great idea, but I don't necessarily think the location is a great idea. Cheyenne weather isn't always the best, and you're talking 16th Street, one lane, no parking. You got buses unloading kids. There's no really parking for them. Why not utilize that for something to revitalize? You're gonna Children's Museum, they're gonna go during school hours, so it's really not bringing any business that I can see to the downtown area. If it was something other that's going to generate money on the weekend, parents will bring the kids to there, and downtown, I kind of generate some revenues as it is already downtown, but you need something there during the week as well. So I think there's a better place maybe in Cheyenne for the Children's Museum, or or venues or places like that in Cheyenne to utilize better, more room for safety, traffic. I mean, they've already complained always about traffic. I mean, not traffic and parking downtown. So here you want to stick a museum down there that's kind of, I don't know if it's really going to generate any income, and it's going to take up a lot of parking, and you're going to put the children in harm's way with bad weather and traffic going through downtown, because not that, everybody's watching their children, of course, but it's not like you can just pull in off the road and get out of the line of traffic. So,
Well, that kind of leads to the next question. There are some entities that require ongoing city funding.
okay.
If the Children's Museum required ongoing funding, if it were built, what would you think of that?
Anything for educational purposes, I think is a necessity. So yeah, if funding is needed, I would say it has to be budgeted in, and or always have some, rainy day funds or whatever it can for something to this effect. That's always going to need your children, the children in town, or children anywhere for that fact. Any educational purposes to get them off the couch and get away from gaming and whatever else. I'm all for it. And I was even thinking about that earlier when I grew up here. There was always, I don't know who sponsored them, federal governments or city government or whatever, but there was always summer camps that we could go to. We'd go to Warren Air Force Base, and we got to go hang out in the barracks for a week at a time. And I don't know who picked up the tab for them or whatever, if the parents pitched in so much and whatever, but there's always summer camps. I don't see anything the kids are really doing in the summer necessarily, as far as a camp or educational. There's churches that have their stuff, of course, but I was gone all summer long. I go to the park. We used to stock the Lopina Pond with trout. Kids are fishing there every day. Now they're fishing at the lake, which is good. There's a lot of people, but so anything that has to do with children and keeping them active, I'm all for, as far as funding or making sure there's funds available for that.
So you support the sales tax money for the museum, just not the location, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, and then as a follow-up to that, the effort is to fill that whole downtown. Do you have any ideas for what should go in there? If not the museum?
Well, like I said, there's really no place for even tourists when they come. I don't know if you guys all been to big cities, Vegas or Phoenix or whatever. There's a Walgreens downtown. There's whatever store it is. I don't care. There's you're at Plains Hotel, or you're staying at the hotels around here. What are the first thing? How close is the grocery store? You're all down Lincoln Way, where all the hitching posts and all the new hotels. Where's the closest grocery store? Well, there isn't one. Should a grocery store go there? Is it manageable? Is it feasible? They're going to pick up the tab, to rebuild it. Why is the city gonna have to pay for that? Is it big? Is it big enough? Maybe not. I don't know. Downtown, as they revitalize downtown Denver, they've got grocery stores down there, King Supers and stuff like that. And and obviously corporations again are gonna generate the economic development. So why don't we put it out there, see if someone wants it? See what business would go in there that would make sense.
Dave, there's been talk about opening up the city-owned Belvoir Ranch for some recreational opportunities, some trails and that sort of thing. How big of a priority would that be for you, and where might you find the money for it?
Well, that would be ideal for, like I was talking about, the camping programs and getting kids involved. And kids today don't even know how to use a hammer or pliers or screwdriver. So just some basic classes to that effect, camps to that effect. That'd be a great idea for that. So as far as money coming towards that, hey, it's summer, kids need somewhere to go, parents need somewhere to send them. If there's a fee that we have to pay, it's going to help compensate the ranch and help pay for that and utilize those funds to build it more and more. And I know people of Cheyenne, they're all about ranches and the old West and stuff. So I'm sure that they're going to want to get involved and say, what can we do? I would think anyway, I would push that anyway. How can we help get this place going?
If you're a member of the council, Dave, what would be your budget and savings priorities? How much, what do you think the city should be spending its money on, and how much do you think it should be saving?
Budgets. Well, you've always got to have a budget for, disasters or whatever you want to call it, you have a budget that something breaks, you got to have something to fix it. And it's a necessity of break. There again, it's like the luxury problems and then just a regular problem. So the budget has to consider, all right, do we really need this? It's a luxury for the city, but we also have to save for this because this ain't gonna last forever, just like the police department. Finally, they got a new building, right? And so I'm sure that came out of the budget somewhere, bonds or whatever the case may be. So, but it was a necessity that had to be fixed, had to be done, had to be taken care of, where maybe something else can be skipped that year or a couple of years, and so that would be in a budget for down the road. So the savings always has to be there. So I'm going to say the savings would take priority over the budget, as far as spending. And then anything that we get above that, like I said, there's going to be, I would think we can figure out, I know there's other ways we can generate revenue. So then you can take those revenues and make things a little bit more feasible as far as budgeting, make them happen.
Dave, we only have about 6 or 7 more minutes, but you mentioned sales tax, and the 6th penny sales tax is coming up for renewal probably in May of next year.
Mhm.
And voters get to choose which projects they want to fund. If you're on the council, what projects would be a priority? What would you like to see on that 6th penny ballot?
Well, definitely revitalizing downtown. I think every council member that's ever ran or mayor, that's always been their first topic. It's because, like I said, you want to make Cheyenne a destination, and I think with making the city of Cheyenne more attractive, where people can come and spend time. They ride around in the little stagecoach, the tourist that gives them a ride, whatever. But what are they showing them? A lot of empty buildings, unfortunately. But at one time, they're all, full of employees and people and customers and, option stores to shop at and stuff. So that would definitely be for sure that I'd want the revenues to go downtown. And then, like I said, you used to have your other problems such as maintaining the city and, beautifying the city and whatever. If you can utilize some of that funding for promotions to promote, events in the city, that's going to bring more revenue. You got to spend money to make money type analogy on that. So I don't know. I guess I've lived all my life other than when I lived in Arizona, and I never see Frontier Park get used for anything other than Frontier Days, a circus now and then, fireworks, and I know, is it really an option if somebody can, promote other events in there that people would want to see, concerts or whatever? Have they tried that in the past? I don't really know. I know they've used the amphitheater for some events, but it really doesn't, have the parking or the space for people to go, other than Cheyenne's small enough that everybody can kind of pretty much walk in. So it's not the end of plus there's the busing that we can do. So I'd say just revitalizing downtown and promoting the city somehow to generate revenue.
Dave, how do you feel about the possibility of an anti-discrimination ordinance in the city? Do you think that's something the city council should pass?
Well, that wouldn't be necessarily a sole answer for me. I mean, that would be up to the people to let me know what direction they would want me to take on that, because it's not I'm not in that position to make that answer, to answer that question. I'd leave it up to the people that voted me in to say, what's your take on it? Personally, I'd have to leave my personal thoughts or feelings out of it, but I'm all for positive change and whatever positive change it is, and whatever affirmative relief we need, I'm all for keeping it on in God's will.
There's some 5th penny sales tax money and also some general fund money that goes to the United Way for distribution to a series of nonprofits in Cheyenne and Laramie County.
Mhm.
Are you aware of that? And if so, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, programs like that I think, are a must. So I would still support it. I know those projects are there to also give them a hand up, not a handout. So if they're utilizing that money correctly, then I don't see a problem. If they needed to have a reality check or whatever the case may be, say, well, what are you using it for? Using it correctly, or the people benefiting from it? Then yeah, let's keep them going. If not, what can we do to make it go further, or how can we use the funds to benefit more people, or make sure the people that we are helping are doing something with it besides just take and run.
Dave, one more question for you, and that's about the landfill expansion, and the city's been gradually raising trash fees to cover that. Is that something you support? What are your thoughts about that, the landfill issue?
Yes, I do. This goes again where, you have a family with 10 people, well, not 10, but 3 kids, or there's 5 in a family. And you have a senior and his wife. Are they really throwing that much trash out compared to, a household? So, if there can be a balance some kind, yeah, then if this guy has to pay $20 and the seniors somewhere only have to pay 10, but the goal is to get 15 out of the whole thing, then we met our number and kept these people happy, and these people have to pay more, unfortunately. It's just the price of life. So, and then you're keeping, not necessarily, but I think in my life, I know that if I'm going to utilize more, I should pay more. If I'm going to utilize less, I should pay less. It's just common sense, and people should understand that that's the case and kind of go with it, because that's the way I would look at it.
Dave, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to mention to us as we wrap up?
No, just Cheyenne's a great city, and the potential is there. It's always been here, and it's great to have boards like this and people that can get involved, to know that your candidates are really looking out for the best interest of themselves instead of just whatever it is, and just to make a positive impact on the city. If I can make a positive impact on the city, that's my goal, and to do what the people ask.
Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.